Well, it's Thursday one more time. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the best show on Thursdays at 5:55 p.m. What else than what else do you want to be doing rather than being here checking out Hey Rockstar? Coming to you live from Nashville, Tennessee. I am Josafat Emiliano. My co-pilot back there, Miguel, is just chilling, doing his thing. And I'm actually excited for this show we got going for you today. A really special guest. But before we get into that, I just want to thank everyone who is showing up right now. If you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on YouTube, and you're watching us on Twitch, do the thing, yo. You know, show some love. Give us some likes. Give us some comments. Any comments you have, we will try to address them all at the end, or if they're relevant to the conversation, we'll probably highlight you and interact, because we love it when you interact with our guests, because we want to pull out value. We want you to go with your hands full of something that you can use in your life. So without further ado, I guess, Miguel, let's do the thing, yo. Rockstar. Hey Rockstar. Hey Rockstar. Hey Rockstar. Hey Rockstar. Hey Rockstar. 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 Hey Rockstar. Welcome. This is a storytelling platform designed to empower you to build yourself up physically, spiritually, mentally, socially, and financially. Why stories? Because stories live on. They are eternal. They are a powerful reminder of what one can accomplish when opportunity presents itself. So listen carefully, learn the lessons, apply them to the Big Five, and become the rock star of your industry. Hey Rockstar, welcome to the show. Today is episode 30. It is an interview with a rock star. Man, but before we bring that rock star in, you guys know that I love to give y'all just little tips that you can take to add value to your life, to encourage you to grow, to become the rock star of your industry. So one of the major tips that I can just say that will help you kind of get on your way is to start reading more. It's the simplest life hack you can do. It will enhance your vocabulary. It'll enhance your idea building skills. You will learn new things. Just get in the habit of reading a book. Now, I know we have magazines. We have a lot of things you can find online, but let me encourage you to just get a nice book, or even ebooks. I'll let that slide, because you know how the saying goes, leaders are readers. Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. But without any further ado, and the only reason I wanted to give you that life hack, for example, and yeah, sorry. I'm going to say don't read comic books, although I do like a good graphic novel, but I suggest something with sustenance, something like maybe this book right here, known as The Extraordinary UnOrdinary You. This book has some great stories. I've only gotten through maybe a few chapters because I got the book last night. Surprise, surprise. And I got the hardcover because your boy loves a nice classic. But anyway, and you know who the author of this book is? Can you see that? Simone Knego. I hope I said it right. That is our next guest that we have today. Simone is not only an author, she's also a motivational speaker. And you know how I just have a special place in my heart for speakers. But not only that, she's also a mother to a multicultural family, which we'll hear a little bit more of that. She's done amazing adventures. She even climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I am so jealous because I got to see that thing from afar, but didn't get to set foot on that thing back in Tanzania. What other goodies can we say? You know what? How about we just bring in our guest of honor and let her just share her story? Welcome, Simone.
Yay. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. That was like such a great intro, and the surprise of you having the book, and so many cool things.
No, I definitely, I have a lot of friends who have written other books, and I like to get them and just have something tangible. But no, after hearing your story with other people, I had to get it myself because it's something to add to my collection, and definitely can't wait to. And today was a perfect day because it rained all day here in Nashville. That's kind of why I was a little late today. But rainy days, just next to the window. I have, like, you can see that's my reading area, that big bean bag perfect. There. Open the window and just do some reading. But other than that, Simone, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here, first of all.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm not sure what else. I mean, let's just start with just share a little bit about your journey.
Oh my gosh, my journey. I'm 49 years old, so it's been kind of a long journey. I've done many things in my life, but where I am now, like you said, I am an author. I wrote a book. I have 6 kids. I don't think you said the 6 kids part. I think you said a multicultural family. Yes. Yeah. So I'm a mom of 6, and I love storytelling. I love that connection. So in your intro, when you talk about telling stories, the importance of telling stories, I always think of it, it's our connection. It's our human connection. That's how we remember things. And actually, I was reading something the other day, and it said that you can give someone data, but if you tell them a story, they're going to remember the story. If you just give them data, they're never going to remember it. But telling them the story, that sticks with them. That's what they keep and transfer from person to person.
That's perfect. All right. Let's start with that first step, the multicultural family. Now, the reason I said that is because you also adopted some children, not just had your own. Yeah. How did that even come to be? Was it something you always wanted to decide with you and your spouse, or is it just something that you saw a need, or just, where does someone decide to adopt?
We had talked about it after our first child. There was 4 years in between our first and second. And so that was like the beginning of the conversation. And then, of course, I found out I was pregnant. So that wasn't the right timing for it. So when, later after child 3, we kind of had the discussion, now or never. And we're really big into the now. So we said now. And it really goes back to that there are so many amazing kids in the world just waiting for a family to love them. And we felt that we could be that family, and our kids were all in. Everybody was all in. And we thought we would adopt once, and then we thought we would adopt one more time. And then we were like, okay, now we're at 6 kids. The last adoption, we said, okay, 6 kids, minivan is full, we're done. And our first adoption, our son is from South Korea, and then our second adoption, our son is from Ethiopia, and then our daughter is also from Ethiopia.
Nice. Are they really close in age, or is it like big gap between them? Or
yeah, our youngest child is 13 and our oldest is 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can only share from my experience. Like, there is a huge gap. Like, the oldest sibling, there's like a 17-year gap between her and myself. And the middle siblings, I'm the youngest one, by the way. The middle ones are kind of like closer in age. But actually, I was like 4 when my older sister got married, 5 when my niece was born. So I always saw my niece as my little sister kind of situation. because I'm closer in age. No. What intrigues me about the adoption process is because my sister, her and her husband decided that they want to adopt, and they're going through the process right now, and they're finding it's a little more difficult than. Also, they wanted to. Oh, if you don't mind me asking, did you adopt them very, very young, or were they at several age?
You can ask away. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I don't mind anything. No, so our son who is from South Korea, he was a baby. He was 4 months old, and then our son from Ethiopia, he was 4.5 years old, and then our daughter from Ethiopia was 2.5 years old. So
Okay.
varies, and the process has changed substantially, and I imagine even more so during COVID because you can't go anywhere. So it's so difficult right now.
Yeah. I know that I don't even have permission to say this from my family, but we're gonna love him. However, he's older in age. I believe he's either 8 or 9 or 10. But they and of course he has other siblings. But I mean, my family's all getting ready. Even my nieces and nephews are getting ready to welcome their new cousin. All they're just ready for the final paperwork, and I'll be making a trip to Texas to celebrate with them. But I want to know, being part of a just different cultures, what have you learned that you've had to, adapt to, or maybe you haven't had to adapt, but how do I want to word this question? Yeah, is there any challenges that have risen because of your choice to have just I guess a lot of different children?
So I would say that I don't see any of it as a challenge. I mean, sure, there are questions that come up from other people, or questions from our own kids, and conversations that we wouldn't have had if we had kids that just looked like us. But I just see it as part of our journey, part of our life, and I'm happy as long as people's intentions. As long as I have good intentions, I'm happy to answer any questions when people are looking, you're like, how can I help you? And I always, if I put it back on the person, I kind of feel like they feel comfortable asking a question, and I'm happy to answer, because what is life if we don't have the human connection piece? It's so important that we're able to have these conversations. That's how we learn from each other.
Any funny stories that you can share with these with your kids? I know my nieces and nephews. We have so many great stories.
Yeah, we have I mean, news stories every day. It's ridiculous, honestly. When our two youngest were little, so Millie is from Ethiopia, Noah's from South Korea. They wanted to share a room for a bit, and they're a year apart. And so I said, sure, but if you guys don't sleep, we're going to have to split you guys up. And they're like, you can't split us up. We're twins. And I was like, okay, you're twins. And I love that. I was like, yeah, okay. Perfect. I'm glad that's how you feel.
That is awesome.
Yeah. But our kids are brutally honest. They, they'll tell you exactly what they're thinking. And there was a time where our youngest, if she's listening to this, she'll be like, oh my gosh, Mom, seriously. But my husband was getting dressed for something, and he came out wearing like yellow shorts, and she's like, are you going to wear those? And he's like, yeah, I was planning to. And she's like, well, you kind of look like a bumblebee. And so he went back in his closet to change. And he's like, she's like 8. Why am I listening to what she's telling me? Like, this is the outfit I want to wear. So he comes back out, and she's like, well, you didn't change. And he said, no, do I look okay? And she's like, well, I'm going to say what I really think inside my head.
Clever.
Yep. So.
All right. Well, we'll revisit some more stories for family stories. I want to go on to the part where you became a speaker. At what point did you just see an opportunity to speak, or what led you towards that path? Because I selfishly want to know this.
Honestly, I never would have thought that this would be the path I would have taken, because when I took a public speaking course in college. That was about it. I was a CPA. That's how I started my life, my professional life. I I went back to school to be a teacher. I've done a lot of different things trying to figure out who I am, where I want to be, what I want to be doing. It's okay to change your mind. I tell myself that all the time. But I was doing some volunteer work, and through that volunteer position, I started speaking in a lot of different communities. And what I realized, one, I really like speaking, and two, you can really impact people with your stories. And not that I didn't know that ahead of time, but until I started doing it myself and really felt how much it impacted other people, that's when I said, okay, this is really where I want to be, because I love telling stories. And hey, guess what? I am not afraid of being up on stage. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. And so from there, that was kind of the beginning. And trust me, there's still lots of bumps in the road. It's, you got to kind of work your way in. And, but I wrote the book really because of my public speaking, because of having people say to me after I would get off of the stage, do you have a book? No, I'm not a writer, limiting myself. I'm not a writer. Well, you should write a book. You have great stories. And then I'm like, why not? Why don't I write a book? And so I came home and I said to my husband one day, I'm going to write a book. And he was like, okay, you're not a writer, but I can't wait to read it. I was like, thank you for your support. And he's always really supportive. I mean, we've been married for 28 years now. So he puts up with my crazy really well.
That's always the question. What came first, the book or the speaker? Because I haven't written anything. I mean, I had an idea for a book, but then someone else wrote it for me. So another author wrote the book with the exact same title. Like, oh, wow, that makes sense. And actually, he put more than I would have put in my book. But I still share my stories and such, and that has been just a process in of itself. But like yourself, I also was given like small stages in like when I was helping with volunteer work and with the nonprofit organization. And same, just talking and sharing. And there's a moment when you're speaking your story, but you can see in their face when they just like, wait, he's sharing my story. I know. And you can start, and also we just like become that same person. And I guess it's empathy that I just put more emotion to it. And afterwards it's to me, it's one of the greatest feelings whenever they come to you. It's like, thank you for sharing that, because I needed to hear that, because I'm walking through the same thing. Because we're not alone. It's a big blue dot in the middle of the galaxy, but there's a lot of people on there, and we're not alone. But anyway, so that's why I do enjoy the performance aspect. I enjoy the pre-performance anxiety that you feel when you're about to get on stage, but afterwards when you get off, you're like, wow, that came from me.
Yeah.
Or just. Yeah. It's a dance, I think, once you're up there.
Yeah.
And so
it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's fun to see people's faces and their expressions and have those moments afterwards where people say like, wow, I didn't know that, and I had these moments where I always thought, oh, I'm the only one that's struggling with this, until someone shared their story. And then I was like, wait, I'm not the only one that's struggling with this. So when we tell our stories, I think it's important to share the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, like, because it's part of it. It's part of the way we connect.
Yep. All right. I'm not gonna read from your book, but one of the best advices I ever got, and actually last night I was in not a mastermind, I joined several groups of speakers and coaches that just kind of collab together and give each other advice. And one person was like, well, I'm having a hard time. I get up and I find myself speaking really, really fast and going through my speech really quick. And I told them, well, what I started doing is on Twitch, I started just reading. Actually, I need to finish the book, but I started reading The Great Gatsby and just started a chapter a night. And it takes me about an hour, because these words, I get a little stuck sometimes on some of them, but it forced me to slow down, to pronounce the words, and then I go back and watch it, and that's helped me become a better speaker, as I'm just more like slow it down. And also, even when I first started this channel about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, my first videos, I'm up there, I'm just like, I'm going because I'm excited and I have so much to give, but I realized, you know what, slow down, pick a pace. enjoy yourself. And it's a learning process for me too. I'm not sure. What have you learned as a speaker?
Oh, I've learned so many things, but it's funny. I learned something recently. I'm really bad about listening to myself, and I know how important that is and that I need to do that more. And now I'm doing it more because I was on a podcast and they gave me the option. Well, they asked me, they said, here, when we're done, we want you to listen to it to make sure you're comfortable with all of your answers. And, my answers are my answers. But so I listened to it and I was going to say yes, no matter what, but I did listen to it. And then I realized that I said, like probably 5,000 times during the podcast. And I was like, well, no, Simone, they don't know. So why are you saying, you're answering the question. So that's like my filler. I realized that was my filler. Now I break it up a little bit. I'll say I'll say a, I'll say a like, I kind of mix it up instead of just saying, but when I do start speaking quickly, I realize I say, too many times. So I've learned a lot, but those are like some of the funny things where you have to, when I said to the host, he said, what do you think? And I said, why don't you just call the episode, and, and he, of course he laughed. And then he said, I actually took a bunch more out. And I said, I'm sure you did. I said, but actually I'm laughing at myself. And it's really helpful because 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh, I'm never doing another podcast. I'm mortified. And now I'm like, oh my God, this is human. Like, this is what we do. Like, we have to make these mistakes so we can learn and we can grow and we can do better. So for a while, I don't have it on there today, but I would have a sticky note right on my screen that says, So I would look at it every once in a while to remind myself, you don't need to say it so many times because they don't know. You're telling them something they don't know.
It's funny you say sticky note because I still have this sticky note from one of the shows that I put. I'll let you see. It says "Check your mic, bro." M for Miguel the monkey. But so it was a show where I talked about my weight loss journey because before I moved to Nashville almost 6 years ago now. One of the reasons why I left the field, and I think we shared with this the first time we talked over the call. I had found myself in a place where I just wasn't happy, even though I was doing good work, but I wasn't happy. I was abusing sustenance, and I was also just overeating, and I bloated up to an unhealthy 360 pounds. Wow. And I'm a 6-foot guy, so I could hide a lot, but even at that point, I couldn't hide anymore. And so coming back to Nashville, I was at my heaviest. Or I came back to Texas and then moved to Nashville. I was at my heaviest. Since then, though, I've gone down to about. I'm still fluctuating between 270, 280. Depends how much sugar or hot chicken I have here in Nashville. But anyway, I said all that because I did a video about my weight journey and making small changes, discipline, and being just faithful. Because I brought it down to 3 things, and I shared this with one of my guests about 2 weeks ago or last week about my weight loss journey. I simplified it, but basically I only have 3 goals. The first goal is I want to be confident and comfortable in what I'm wearing. The second one, I want to be fit enough to participate in life, just get up and move kind of situation. And the third one is I want to be able to eat without guilt. So those 3 goals are what helped me get up early in the morning to do my workout routine, because I want to be able to feel comfortable in what I'm wearing, eat without guilt, and just participate in life. And so that makes it easier for me to I call it do the disciplinary things in the moment. But I said all that because I started the show and I was halfway through finishing my story, and my phone was off, and people were calling me, "Hey, we can't hear anything. We see you moving and having a great show," but they never heard you. And so I had to put the little sticker now, even though that was like 20 episodes ago, but I still remember now to check my mic, make sure it's always on. It's easier when I have a guest because they can tell me, "Hey, I can't hear you." But that was before I started having guests more frequently. But no, it's good to be able to laugh at yourself. It's good to be able to learn from anything, actually. But okay, so let's go back into your key message about you are more than enough. Why is that message something very important to you and to the audience?
Well, it's a combination of things. My key message is actually we don't need to change who we are. We need to change the way we see ourselves. But that totally ties in with you are more than enough. Not just enough, you are more than enough. So not doubting yourself, not looking at yourself and thinking I can't do this, can't means won't. All of these things that I think when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we don't see the positives from the beginning. We see all the things that we think we need to fix. And what I started doing, because I struggled for so long to try to figure out where do I want to be? Who am I? And from the outside, people would say, "Oh, wow, everything's great. Like she's got 6 kids. She has everything, she's got her stuff together." And you know what? Just because something looks like something from the outside doesn't mean on the inside it's the same. And so I had to really look at myself and figure out, hey, why am I being so hard on myself? It's not doing me any good. And take a step back and say, look at the amazing things you're doing right now. Doesn't matter what anybody else is saying in a positive or negative way. Look at what you're doing. Do you feel good about what you're doing? And the answer was yes. So I really had to get rid of that comparison piece and say, yes, you can do this. You got to put in the work. You can do this. All of these things that I would say, oh, I can't do that. Or, that's not for me because I was worried about failing. I changed the way I saw myself, and it wasn't a light switch. It wasn't like all of a sudden I was like, oh, everything's great. It's a process every day where you say, okay, even today I was frustrated with something and I was like, oh, stop worrying about that. Like that is not a big deal. And I talk to myself and the kids laugh at me and it works great.
I have a mug. I should have brought it. It says, of course I talk to myself. Sometimes I need expert advice. That's one of my favorite Christmas mugs.
I like that.
No, what was that? You said you like that?
I said I love that. Yeah, I love that.
No, well, this ties into one of the 5 points, and it's about mental strength or just, growing mentally. In next month, I have scheduled he's a coach. He's a meditation coach, and he's also a dating coach. But that's a whole thing. But I was focused more on like the meditation aspect. Have you ever participated in kind of meditation to kind of strengthen your mental game by any chance? Or I figure it might be a little tough because you have a lot of family.
Yeah, I do some meditation. You know who's really good with meditation is actually my husband. He's like, I'm meditating, leave me alone. I'm like, wait, are you really? Or is it just because you don't want to talk to me? But yeah, I have. And it is very powerful. And I don't think sometimes we kind of swipe away these things that we're like, oh, I don't know about that, or positive affirmation. So between those two, the meditation and positive affirmations, I think they make a huge difference, and they have for me.
Yeah, and it's powerful when you can get out of your. I call it. I don't take myself too serious, and I know how to get out of my circumstance, where like things are going crazy, and I'm like pull out like, all right, Josafat, why are you acting this way? Why are you letting this bug you? And you kind of like yourself, and it's just something powerful to be able to get out of the emotion roller coaster that you find yourself in, and everyone's trying to force you in, or not everyone, just the circumstances trying to force you in. And it's powerful when you can just like, okay, this is cute. All right, okay, I can get back in now. This is not forever. This is just a momentary thing. No, I like to elaborate on that, because honestly, nowadays most people don't take a time out. There's just too much going on, or their time out is going on social media, or just finding some distraction.
Yeah, I mean, we need a pause, right? Our brains are going crazy every day. There's so much stuff happening in the world, and so much stuff happening social media that, if you get kind of caught up in that, it's kind of it is hard to take a step back and say, let me just sit down and read a book, or let me just sit down and watch the sunset. Something that, I think I would take a lot of it for granted for a long time, really just going from point A to point B, just trying to get through the day instead of saying, wait, I'm supposed to be appreciating the day. All of these moments I don't get them back, right? These are part of my journey, and I need to take a look at them in a different way.
I don't know why this just came to mind, but you've been to Israel, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I remember you mentioned that to me in one of your interviews. But I remember it was my college graduation gift to myself. A group of us went to Israel, and we were in, I want to say, Tel Aviv. And one morning, I just woke up really early in my hotel room, and I looked out to the Tel Aviv is on the Sea of Galilee, correct? I'm assuming it was the Sea of Galilee, so I just assumed. But as the sun was just coming out, and there was this lone fisherman on a boat, and he was just going slowly across. I got a camera and I took a picture of it, but I watched him for like 10 minutes just slowly cross this ocean or this little part of the river. And my roommate was like, "What are you doing?" Like, I don't know, just something about watching this guy slowly cross on the boat just gave me a sense of tranquility or something. As the sun was coming up, it was just a lone moment. First of all, I was in an amazing country with amazing food, but just yes. At that moment, I shared it with that gentleman as he crossed the sea.
Yeah,
on a little lovely boat.
I think those moments are important, and we don't really do them we don't have them very frequently because we're not necessarily paying attention to what's going on around us. Even things like and this was several years ago, we went to visit my sister. She lives in Switzerland, and no, I haven't seen her since it's probably been 2 years now because of COVID. And so, we went to visit her, and she's like, "Let's go see a movie." And I was like, "Sure." And in the middle of the movie, all of a sudden the lights come on, and I'm like, "Is it broken?" And she's like, "No, Simone, it's called intermission." And I was like, "Intermission in a movie?" She's like, "Yeah, you get to go and grab a drink and go to the bathroom and then come back for the rest of the movie." And I was like, "Don't people have places to go?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're such an American." And, of course she was too, but she was now used to this lifestyle. And then after we finished the movie, I was like, this is brilliant. Like, why are we always rushing to the next thing instead of enjoying the pieces? And, that was such a funny moment for me because I was like, oh my gosh, if this happened in the States, there'd be like rioting about it. Like an intermission in a movie. No, I have to like get to my kid's baseball game, or I have to, get to dinner. Like we can't wait. But those kind of pauses I think are great and so powerful.
I totally agree with that. I tend to pause a lot more now that I'm older in life than when I was younger. But other than that, no. That's good stuff. No, I was just thinking about last time I was in the middle of a movie and the power went out, and it was a minor inconvenience for like maybe 3 minutes. And of course you had a chance to go to the restroom, but coming back, everyone was like, "Well, did we get a refund on our movie or something like that?"
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They gave you a chance to go to the restroom, get some snacks and such.
Yeah.
They still gave us a refund. I got to watch it, or they gave us a voucher for another movie. So I eventually watched another one. All right, let's talk about Mount Kilimanjaro. Let's talk about that journey. How did it come? I mean, I've heard before, but for my audience, how did that opportunity even become an opportunity for you?
It fell in my lap. No, it's a friend of ours had climbed it the year before, and he called my husband and asked him if he would be interested. He said they're putting together another team, and Rob, would you like to go? And my husband said, "No, I wouldn't like to go. Call Simone." And so I got a phone call and I said, "Absolutely." And then I thought, you have never climbed anything but stairs. You live at sea level, and I was in okay shape, but not in shape that I needed to be. So, and I said, okay, there's a lot of work that's got to be done now. And that was kind of how I moved forward. I set the goal and I put in the work behind it. And I had 6 months, which I could have probably used a little bit longer, but I worked out every day, and I would wear an elevation training mask. It's like this, it looks like Bane from Batman, and you have like these valves on the side. You can take them, you adjust them, you take them out and change them. And it went up to like 18,000 feet or something,
Wow.
maybe 15,000. And it doesn't affect your oxygen level, but it helps you build lung capacity. And so obviously when you're at a high altitude, you need to have that, your body needs to adjust to the oxygen. But by building my lung capacity up, it just made everything that much easier for me. And yes, the kids laughed at that as well. I have like it has like a gorilla face on it. And they're like, seriously, you're going to wear that? Although now I think it would be okay. Like if I were to wear that around, people would be like, hey, she's fitting in just fine now. But when I would wear that to the gym, or I would wear it just walking around the house, they're like, oh my gosh, you look ridiculous. And I was like, yes, thank you. I love it. And yeah, so trained, and it was I was with 16, there were 16 of us. I had not met anybody before.
Oh, wow.
Perfect strangers.
Yeah.
Yep. And we were raising awareness and funds for the Livestrong Foundation. And the group was called Survivor Summit. And it was amazing. So my tent mate is a breast cancer survivor. And so when you talk about inspiration, being surrounded by people who, first of all, the most amazing stories, and then the drive to commit to something like this and finish it. And so it was powerful in so many ways, but just the group of people, just even if we were just sitting at dinner, it would have been really powerful. But okay, you add in climbing the mountain to it, it adds a whole nother level. And
curious. Out of the 16, did everyone complete the journey, the climb?
Yeah, we all did. And that was part of the discussion. So we traveled, our leader, our fearless leader, his name is Chris Warner, and he wrote a book, maybe even multiple books, but this is like Leadership at Altitude, something like that. And sorry, Chris, I don't remember exactly the title, but I think that's pretty close. And that's what he would teach. He climbed the big peaks, and it was, how do you work as a leader when you're on a mountain? Forget the boardroom. Now you have to figure out the leadership roles, how people work together when you're at 18,000 feet, when you're at 19,000 feet, how does it work? And so that was the discussions from the beginning. What do we do if someone has to stay back? Do we all stay back? Do we finish it together? What are we committing to? And it was kind of a discussion as we went. And so there was one point right before we did the final ascent, which is from about 15,000 something feet to the 19,341. One of my teammates started with a really bad cough from the altitude. And so the discussion happened. What do we do now? And she said, there's no way everybody's staying back because of me. I will never, I will be upset about it my entire life if you guys do that. But actually one of the guys said, how about I stay back with her? And then, so they went at a slower pace. I mean, it's such a great story, honestly. So the rest of us moved forward, and I mean, they weren't that far behind us, but everybody had somebody that they went to the top of the mountain with, and everybody made it. And it was amazing. It was powerful. And then when we got up there, and people were crying, we're hugging, everything. Back when you could hug people.
I still hug people with a mask on, though.
I'm back to hugging because I'm vaccinated, but I'm back to hugging. But yeah, so we're at the top, and I'm again with 6 kids. I'm kind of a mom wherever I go. And I would start that, like, I think your lips look a little bit blue. We should probably check your oxygen level. Oh yeah, her oxygen level was really low. Or he's kind of acting a little funky. I think he might be really low. We probably should start heading back. So mom to the end. They're like, oh, of course you're being the mom. I'm like, yes, I am. But
that's awesome. No, that's a beautiful story. Cause I mean, I've been in teams before, I'm not talking about like climbing, but like in teams where not everyone where we get to a point where some people just quit, and you don't understand why they quit, and it's nothing against them. Maybe mentally they weren't ready for certain things. The biggest feat I ever did was 300-mile bike ride in 3 days, so 100 miles every day. and I was a pretty heavy boy when I did it at the time. And the training I did was basically he said, if you can condition to ride a mountain bike on 10 miles on pavement, you'll be good for a road bike for 300 miles. And I took him at his word. And I was able to do 10 miles, but once I got out there, I realized, okay, he didn't lie to me, but the actual riding wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was getting your butt accustomed to the little seat for 6 hours at a time.
It's a lot of miles, yeah.
But one of the guys who was riding with us, I was just riding with him and I'm like, dude, any tips? Because he was a triathlete and he was doing all this stuff. And like, any tips for a first timer? And he looked at me in a very, I mean, he came off cocky, but I know he wasn't being intentional. He wasn't being mean. He was just like being himself. He goes, well, here's the best advice I got for you. He says, you take a bite bigger than you can chew and you chew it. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I mean, when you commit yourself to something, but I think the hard part when you talk about the 300 miles over 3 days, it's, you got to get back on the bike the second day.
Yeah.
So, after your butt hurts from the first day of 100 miles, and you're like trying to figure it out on the first day. And then the next morning you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do this again and again. So,
yeah. But after that first 100 miles, at the end of the day, I was just sitting there with some of them people, and we're like, wow, I didn't ever in my dreams think I would be able to do a century. And he goes, not many people do. And he goes, but we get to do it again tomorrow. Like, okay. But no, it's just, it's great. I love being able to, I love having that story though. And it was a fundraiser too. 8 of us, we raised at least 30,000 amongst us, because we also had matching funds from businesses.
Oh wow!
And for missions and such, and it was pretty cool. I myself only raised like maybe a couple of grand, but everyone else did way more, and the matching funds came in. But it was really cool to be able to help out these projects and get workout done, and actually, I got a bike out of the deal too. A church that was sponsoring me that helped me buy a professional bike, and it's like, that was the cool thing that I got to keep on to afterwards. But other than that, let's go on. All right, so we talked about the mountain, because that's the main story you shared. We talked about your journey. Actually, I forgot the points. I should have written them down. I thought I was going to be better at this, but
that's okay.
I was hoping just to have a great conversation, and of course, and then we did talk about public speaking and being a motivational speaker and such.
You had mentioned Peru before, and that was another challenge that, when you have the opportunity to do it, you should absolutely jump at the chance to do that, because we went and hiked the Inca Trail. And it was myself, my husband, and our oldest son. He decided to go live in Peru for a summer. This was a couple summers ago. And so he said, what do you think? You want to come do this? And I was like, probably, maybe. But my dad was sick. My dad had cancer. He actually passed away right before the trip. And one of the things was like, you still have to go do the trip. So we did the trip. I was in zero shape for that one, because I spent the most of my time with my parents. And so we get to Peru, and we spent a couple days in Lima. We did amazing things, but when we got to the trail, we really lucked out, because my husband, we got put in a very small group. Maybe not lucky for my son. Most of the groups had like 16 or 20 people. We had 5 of us, because we were older, and we were older. We were probably the oldest people that we saw hiking the trail that when we were there. And it was exhausting. I was like it was amazing though, like how they created these steps. Unbelievable how the architecture, everything you can think of. It's like, wow, it's so impressive. But when you climb that many steps up and down. My knees were shot. I was like, can I just sleep here? We got to one rest area. I was like, can we like change our camping spot? And the whole group was like, do you really need to? I was like, no, I'll keep going. I'll make it. I made it. I was exhausted, but I made it. And it was amazing. It was beautiful. And it was a great challenge.
It's good to challenge yourself. You can see how far you can go. I forgot, who's that motivational speaker? He's like the Navy SEAL. He wrote a book about, basically the main thing is whenever your body is telling you you're done, you actually only 40% there. So you still got 60% to go. Like, I don't know. It's a really good talk. I owe it to you. You know what? I'll email you whenever I find the name and tag you. But it's a Navy SEAL. He also wrote a book. I guess I'm seeing the common theme here. You got to write a book.
Yeah.
I'm a speaker, write a book.
But I agree with him though, like definitely, because I was like, oh, I'm done. But I still had it in me. I just had to remind myself it's still in there. Keep going.
Yeah. Just look back at what you've already done, and that'll motivate you to keep going.
Yeah,
one step more.
For sure. Right.
Well, we are almost at actually, like I said, I can do up to 4-hour streams, but I don't think you want to be up this late. However, the main questions that I always like to ask all of my guests, and you kind of already hit a few things that are just really good gold. You dropped some really good Rockstar gold during our talk. But the first question that I like to ask every guest is, what disciplines or habits have become canon in your everyday practice?
I would love to say it's exercise. I'm working that back in. Yeah, I got in COVID shape and I'm like, okay, I'm committed now to get out of it. But really the one thing that I do every day is the positive affirmations. Is first thing in the morning when I get up, I say something to myself to start my day in a way that I feel good about. And I'm human. Trust me, I have crap that happens all day long. I mean, that's just how it works. I don't have to be, I'm not saying I'm positive all day long, but I am saying that when something happens, I do take a step back and say, how can I make it better, instead of letting myself go down that rabbit hole of making it worse from the beginning. So every morning when I wake up, I say something to myself as I look in the mirror. Kids named it mirror moments. And yeah, that's kind of how I move forward. And it really helps me.
Do you have a favorite mirror?
Do I have a favorite mirror?
Yeah.
I look the same in all of them.
I have one that's like right by my doorpost as I leave. And it was a mirror that was given to me by a friend. And it was just a gaudy mirror with a little gold frame. But it's become my favorite piece now. Because, I mean, when I work out in the living room, I like looking at it. I don't know. I just like that mirror now. It's just, I don't know. And of course, I speak a lot of powerful things when I'm looking at that image every day. And that's before I walk out the door. Yeah. But the next question that I love to ask all my guests is, what little bit of advice would you like to just share with my audience that they can start putting into practice so that they can become the rock star of tomorrow?
They already are rock stars. I would say that's the biggest piece of advice, is just realizing who you are and what you're capable of, and that we all have these. I always say that we're all unordinary because we're all unique. We're all different from each other. We all bring different things to the table, but we all have these extraordinary pieces within us that we just have to realize they're there. And once we do, the world opens up. When we believe in ourselves, we really approach life differently. So that would be my main thing, and that's the way I think of it all of the time.
Hold on, I gotta say this. Someone just took you at your word.
You are a rock star, absolutely.
And Juan said nice earlier today. I forgot what it was over. But yes, thank you. No, that is so true. That is so true, guys. You are the rock star. And this whole show started with something that Motivation Monday that I posted once on Instagram, where I said, hey, you are a rock star. Don't let anyone tell you don't let anyone say you're just an ensemble. Unless, of course, ensembles are your thing. Then just be the best ensemble ever. But that's when I started calling everyone Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. Because everyone is. And it starts with just accepting it. Now, I guess the final question is, if you want to be found, I love wording it that way. If you want to be found, how could people find you?
Don't find me. No, of course I want to. Of course I want to be found. Again, like the human connection piece is so important. So yes, I want to be found. Simone Knego. You'll find me wherever you are. If you look me up, you'll find me. I
believe I put your website, just SimoneKnego.com.
Yep.
There's a lot of good resources there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you'll search my name, you'll find me because I am unique. My name is unique. At least I'll give myself that.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny when you just your intro, when you go through the different voices of Rockstar. Like that is, it's honestly amazing because like you hear different things. And I was like, I think if I listen to that every day, I would say, yes, my name is Rockstar. It's amazing. I love it.
Rockstar.
Like, oh, this is really good.
You are Rockstar. Yeah, those are clips those are little clips from my Motivation Mondays every Monday. It was like a little, what is it, 40-minute, 50-second, whatever I could put, and it's just a little bit of value. Hey, Rockstar, add value in your life by doing this. Hey, Rockstar. That's what I pulled it. Just hey, Rockstar. And you can see like transformation from the beard to baby face back to beard kind of situation.
Yeah.
But everyone,
awesome.
Once again, if you get a chance, I got mine from Amazon.com because that's just because me. But if you get a chance to grab yourself a copy of The Extraordinary, Unordinary You by Simone Knego. First of all, because it's a way to follow your own path, discover your own journey. Plus, I'm always up for reading you good material. So I just plugged that book in. Check it out. It's also on Kindle, right?
Yeah, you can.
Do you have an audiobook too? Because today kids like people.
I know.
read it to us.
So I haven't done the audiobook yet. I'll say yet. It's something that I am thinking about. But, Kindle does read it to you if you have it on Kindle. But, my friend said, if you do an audiobook, it has to be your voice. And I was like, do you think people want to hear my voice?
I guess it's a speaker, baby.
I know. And they're like, well, it can't be someone else's. It's your story. It has to be your voice. And I was like, okay, so I'll think about it.
Oh, cool. Then we'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah.
No, my day-to-day job right now, the one that pays the bills, I do a lot of driving because I do marketing for a lab. But I've been going through like audiobooks, even books that I already have read. I'm re-listening to the audio version, and it's just pretty cool, especially the ones that are read by the author and those that are not. Well, they're okay, but still, it's kind of cool when the author themselves reads the book to you.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the emotions are there, right? So, I mean, and I've had lots of people say to me, wait, I have to read the actual book? I was like, well, if you want, you can buy it and then call me and I'll read it to you, whatever you like.
Oh, no, it's a great time, Simone. Thank you once again for being on Hey Rockstar, the live stream podcast. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for just being my first guest that I don't have a past history with.
Yeah, good.
Right. And you're the first one now. Like I said, next month I have someone who reached out to me from the UK, the meditation coach, and I'm like, this is cool. I'm loving the people that we're drawing to bring value to my audience, and like I shared earlier, this will be released almost uncut, I'll take off a little bit, but most of it's gonna be just as is on podcast version by Monday noonish. But I'll send you links for that once it's all out and good.
And I don't think you have to call it, I don't think the title is this time. I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Don't you know? Yeah. Who keeps saying that? I forgot what show it was with the mom was like, don't you know? Don't you? And actually, I give my best friends a hard time because one of them, he got into the habit just saying, know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or he'll say something, you know what I'm saying? He'll just say a little phrase, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, no, I don't know what you're saying. Just being cute. And he's like, shut up.
I do that with my kids too. My son will be like, no, I'm saying, I was like, no, I don't know what you're saying. He's like, you're so old, Mom. I'm like, yes, I am. It's okay.
All right, let me give the outro. I'm going to keep you around, Simone, because I just think it's better when I have my guest as I'm saying this. Everyone, thank you once again for checking out episode 30 of Hey Rockstar, which is also an interview with a rock star featuring Simone Knego, the author of this book right here, The Extraordinary, Unordinary You. I encourage you guys to go get your own copy, or if maybe on my Twitch stream, I might read it out loud. Not anytime soon, though, because I have so many other projects. It'll be something like 3 months from now. Other than that, I got to get Simone's permission first before I do that. But other than that, this Hey Rockstar is part of Low Budget Productions. Let me pull it up real quick. If you are watching on Facebook, go check it out. And it's spelled Productions with a duck in it. It has something to do with our background. All it is, it's a community of podcasters, great stories, great shows. And if you are interested in starting your own podcast, reach out to them. We'd like to take your hand and walk you through it, because we didn't know what we were doing, and now we're experts, in my own eyes at least. But other than that, thank you once again for showing up to check us out, for listening to our stories. All the way from Tennessee and from Florida. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say where, but just Florida in general, or I guess the East Coast and wherever we're at, Central America. Thank you once again, Rockstar, for letting us into your homes. Thank you for letting us into your cars. And thank you for letting us into your hearts. So until next time, I am Josafat El Guapo Emiliano. Y'all know Miguel, my faithful monkey back there. And thank you once again, Simone, for being here with us. Until next time, just much love and many blessings. Catch you next time.